Okay, so we start with Unit 3, Reading 2, that is Make in India, which exports can drive the next wave of growth. Yeah, and so now this article uses a lot of conceptual things. So that is why this part 1 video has been made to talk about the format and the concepts which are used. And then we can take up the discussions related to India's exports in the next session. Yeah, so attached herewith is the format. So introduction, then commentary about evolution of India's export baskets, how they have transformed, then what are the implications, and then finally what is the way forward. Now coming next to the concept of product space, which has been extensively used in this article. Now it is a network which formalizes the idea of relatedness between products traded in the global economy. Now, this concept first appeared in 2007 by Hidalgo, Klinger, Hausman. Now, this has a lot of implications for economic policy because what it says is that the structure helps to tell us why some countries undergo steady economic growth whereas others become stagnant and are not able to develop. This concept of product space has also been used by the indices like Economic Complexity Index, which has been condensed into the Atlas of Economic Complexity. So what this really says is, to put it in very simple terms, it's trying to formalize the intuitive idea that is, a country which is at now, which is presently exporting bananas, is very likely to next export mangoes rather than exporting jet engines. So that seems to be very plausible because since it was producing and exporting bananas, that means it must be having a comparative advantage and therefore moving to a very closely or very similar product, mangoes, is going to be relatively easier for this country. Now, this is very often explained using the forest analogy, which says, let's compare the tree with the product. Monkeys are the forms, and forest is nothing but a collection of all products. So, for the monkeys, jumping from one tree to another is going to lead to growth. That is, when they try to move from a poorer part of the forest to a better, richer part of the forest. But for this, they will have to jump. Now, regarding this jumping, the traditional economic theory disregards what is the structure of the forest because it is assumed that the monkey always has a tree within its reach. But suppose forest is not homogeneous, that means there are some areas which are dense in terms of tree growth, where monkeys can very easily jump over from one tree to another. However, there may be some sparse regions, that is, where trees are located a little far away from each other, and hence jumping to a new tree is going to be relatively difficult. Now, if some areas are very deserted, then monkeys may be just unable to move through the forest at all. So, the structure of the forest and what is the location of that monkey within it, it is going to dictate what is the capacity of the monkey to grow. That is, what economy, the topology of this product space impacts how much is the country going to be able to begin producing new goods, how easy or how difficult it is going to be for the country to venture out into new products. Now related here is the concept of proximity, that is, the product space quantifies the relatedness of products with a measure called proximity, that is, how close are the trees in the forest to each other. So here again there is a similar example, that is a country which is exporting apples, probably has conditions suitable for exporting pears also. However, all the inputs which were being used for apples or pears, now that may be very useless or they may be futile when we talk about a very dissimilar product like copper wire or home appliance. So how do we define product space? It is a collection of all proximities. It is a network connecting pairs of products that are likely to be co-exported by the countries. So each product here represents a node in the network. Now coming next to reveal comparative advantage. So a country possesses a RCA in a product if RCA is greater than or equal to 1, that is, when the share of exports of country in a given product exceeds share of that product in all global trade. In case RCA is less than 1, then we can say that country C is not an effective exporter of I. Now, how do we denote product space? There are two notional variables used, which are path and density. Now, path measures the potential for future diversification. That is, we add up all proximities between a given product and all other products. So, if one product has a high value of path, that is, it has a longer path, it implies product is related to many other products. So we can say that it is at the core of the product space, whereas a product which has a shorter path implies a product is at the periphery, that is, it is not having too many products close to each other. Density measures the ability of the country to take advantage of the potential, that is, how close a product is to the existing export structure. So it is measured in terms of probability, and therefore it lies between 0 to 1. High value of density indicates country already has comparative advantage in similar products in nearby products, and therefore the likelihood of exporting this good in near future is very high. So it helps to predict structural transformation in a country. Countries are more likely to move to production of products which are closer to the current line of production, that is where density is high. So what are the implications of product space? It tells us about the country's capacity for structural transformation. A country that produces goods in the dense core is going to find structural transformation much easier, whereas if the country is specializing in product which is at the periphery, then it is going to be more challenging to shift the production of other goods simply because they're dissimilar. They are not closely related. So this is the product space which was derived out of the data. So this is a grouping which is made to better and simplistically understand the things. So agri-food is at one side, closely related goods, but at the periphery. Now here these are the dots which are metallurgical industry. These are the lab equipment, etc. These are the paints, etc. So if you go back to the previous slide, the purple ones, those who are probably everywhere, the blue dots, they are also very much in the center at the core. So the blue dots signify capital intensive and the purple ones denote chemicals. So going to the next slide. Now this is the abstract of the article which was published in 2007, which says that technology, capital, institutions, skills needed to make new products are more easily adapted from some products than others. So most upscale products or high value products are located in a densely connected core, while lower income products occupy a less connected periphery. So countries tend to move to goods which are close to what they are currently specialized in. Most countries can reach the core only if they jump over infrequent distances in the product space. So this may help us to understand why poor countries have trouble in developing more competitive exports because it requires jumping off the monkey from one tree to another, which is quite far away and therefore it's difficult. Now, there's another term which is used, sophistication of exports, which refers to what is the productivity associated. So the statement is that countries which produce high productivity goods or sophisticated goods enjoy faster growth than the countries which produce lower productivity or less sophisticated goods. There are two indicators developed by Husman, Klein, and Broadrick. So plot Y refers to productivity level, that is income earning potential of a single product, and EXPY, that is export. Export Y, that is how much is the productivity or income level which is associated with the country's export basket. To see the difference between the two, plot Y is related to a single product. Export Y is related to a country's export basket. Now, a very plausible assumption would be that if a richer country is exporting a commodity, then it must be associated with a higher income level or with a higher productivity level. So, using this plausible assumption, what has been done is goods and services have been ranked based on the income level of countries which are exporting them. So, the products which are exported by richer countries get a higher ranking, whereas products which are exported by poorer countries are ranked lower because they are very much expected to be low productivity or less sophisticated products. Now, the three dimensions that have been used to evaluate export performance can be summarized as follows. How much are the exports diversified in terms of products and destinations? Then what is the composition and what is the relatedness? Relatedness, we just talked in terms of proximity. That is, when countries change their product mix as countries evolve, they tend to move towards goods which are closer to the ones that they are already producing and exporting. Now, coming to the composition of export basket, the statement which is made and stressed upon is that what matters for growth is not how much you export, but what you export. So exports with high productivity and sophistication will be contributing more to economic growth. So economic development is not just about new products or finding new trading partners, but it also requires quality improvement in existing products, which we can easily relate to innovations. This is measured by economic complexity of index that we soon start, which is the next slide. Now, economic complexity index was developed by Husman et al. In 2011. It includes two concepts, diversity and ubiquity. So diversity means how diversified a country's export basket is. So if a country is dependent on narrow export basket, that means likely to be export instability problem. Whereas if it's diversified, then export earnings will be stabilized. It also indicates how much is the amount of embedded knowledge that a country has. Because if a country is producing a wide variety of goods and services, which will imply that the amount of knowledge that a country possesses is also diverse. So ubiquity, the literal meaning is very common. That is, how many countries are making that product. So if a product is simple, then every country can make it, which means simple products are going to be ubiquitous, they're going to be common, whereas complex products are going to be less ubiquitous. Now this table discusses about India's exports status, that is India's goods exports are diversified, but they are at the same time non-ubiquitous also. But when we talk about services exports, they are less diversified and they are exclusive as well. Okay, so this we will be doing in the next section. Now coming to the next concept of income enhancing potential of exports. How do we measure it? We are going to measure it by The difference between proj y and export y, that is, um, by comparing the income potential of the product with that of the export basket of the commodity. So if proj y is greater than export basket potential, then we would say that this product is going to have greater sophistication, has greater income enhancing potential, and hence a country must produce this more because it is going to increase the income. It is going to increase EXPY of the export basket. So this is numerically measured by the differences in their loss. Higher number would mean higher income enhancing potential because the gap is going to be greater, right? So this is going to be greater. That means income earning potential of the product is much more than that of the export basket. Now, the last slide here tries to explain figure 14 in the article. Uh, Here on the x-axis, what has been plotted is inverse of log density. Inverse of log density, that means smaller value indicates product is similar, closer to current production structure, and y-axis talks about the sophistication or income enhancing potential. So a value of 0 would imply that income earning potential of product is same as income earning potential of the export basket. If it is less than 0, the product is less sophisticated. Greater than 0, that means more sophisticated. Now think about it, which should be the ideal location? Ideal location would be a product which is highly sophisticated because it is going to have greater income earning potential, but then it's going to be easier for the country to move to this high sophisticated product if it is closer to the goods which are already being produced, which means we want smaller x-axis. Therefore, the ideal location is going to be upper left corner, that is somewhere here. Now, what would a top right corner imply? Top right corner would imply that the product is sophisticated, yes, but then value of x is more. That means it is less dense. That is, it is not similar to the goods which is already being produced by the country. Because therefore, it is going to be difficult for the country to diversify to this particular product. So the last slide gives you references. So this was a discussion that was needed to understand the concepts which are being used in this article. Once you get comfortable with the product space and the implications, then it becomes easier to go through the trends and analysis of India's exports in terms of these conceptual terminology.